Hello, and welcome to another SuchArt tutorial in which I'm going to be showcasing how I go about doing paintings with lots of line work. Specifically, the anime style that we've done in some of these epic paintings here that I'm showcasing in the gallery based on your suggestions. Well, I grabbed my canvas here. Specifically, the anime that I'm going to be doing today is my favorite anime series, Haikyuu. Haikyuu? What the heck is that? It's a fantastic anime, basically about high school volleyball. You wouldn't think that it'd be that cool, but it is. So because I'm going to showcase this in stages, we'll work on dividing our canvas up into 3 equal parts. Or at least somewhat equal. So first, I'm going to grab a little background color here. I will hold on to that for later. So we're going to outline our character first, which is going to be Hinata Shoyo from the series. Really, the first step of doing line work paintings like this is going to be, obviously, draw an outline of your character, and then you just want to get the base colors down first. That's going to be things like skin tone, hair color, and shirt color. And there we go. Works as a pretty good outline for our character. Now, like I said, the main elements that we're going to do first are going to be the base skin tone, shirt, and hair color. So for a skin tone here, let's grab, maybe a little bit lighter. Let's grab this. For his hair color, I think we're going to go with, an orange, just about like this. And then finally, we got to grab white for his shirt. Now, if you see my paintings before, you know I like to start with things that are in the back first. So little tufts of hair that he has back here, kind of behind his neck and behind his chin. I'm going to do those first before I do his face color. So I'm going to grab my medium lining brush here. Probably not the proper name for it, but it's what I like to call my medium brush. I'll just outline it like this. Now, I've showed it in previous videos here, but I want to start at the outside and then work my way in. The reason being is the line is always thinner when you start it, and then it gradually thickens as you make your stroke. So sharp points I want to do first. Okay, that'll work there, but I'm going to do the rest of his face here, and then we'll do the hair. And because I got much more ground to cover, I'm going to grab a little bit of a thicker brush here. We'll grab our skin tone and get to work on this face color. Now you might notice that when I'm doing areas like this, like infilling areas, I do an outline because that way I know I can go all the way up to the edges with a thicker brush when I'm ready to fill it in. And now that I got the outline done, I'm going to grab this thicker brush I mentioned. Just fill in as much as I can. It just saves time, frankly. I'm not going to be too worried about going all the way to the edges with that thicker brush, especially since there are finer parts to fill in. So I kind of use that to infill as much of the middle as possible because it only takes a couple strokes with that paintbrush, as opposed to this one, which I'll have to go over it like 20 times in the middle. When some of your paintings take as long as mine do, anything that's a time saver helps. But then now I'm going to add the shirt. First, I'm going to grab this leaf blower I got and dry it. The reason I'm doing that is when I do the white around here, I don't want it to mix with that skin tone. And finally, I'm ready for that hair. Again, start at the points and work your way inwards, because you see what I mean? You see how thick that gets compared to how thick it starts? So it starts very thin up here, then it ends up getting very thick. And that wraps up step 1. Again, just getting your base colors down. For step 2, I've replicated our original painting as best as I could, so we can go ahead and add our shadows and highlights. Now there's not really going to be a lot of highlights in this painting, but for shadows, I'm just going to take a little bit of a darker skin tone here, then start applying it where needed. Now the placement for these is all going to be entirely based on the source image that I'm using. So now I'm not really winging it too much here. But the purpose for adding, the shadows and highlights is it's really going to add some dimensions to our otherwise, flat color character. I mean, really, without any shadows or highlights, it's literally just going to be a flat color on a flat color on a flat color. And that's not what we want. Now for the shirt, I'm going to grab, it doesn't have to be anything too extreme. I'm just going to grab a very light gray. And finally for the hair, we'll just take a little bit of a darker orange than what we got. That's really saturated. Scratch that, pick a different one. Much better. Something I realized I didn't do, and maybe I should have started with this, but we got to get the shape of the eyes in here. I'm just going to grab some straight up white, and you know what? Hinata's got very almond shaped eyes. Kind of go up like this, out, then make a swoosh. Need to plop down a little bit of brown here, because we got to make some eyebrows here as well. Then he's got a little bit of that as well on the hood of his eyes. Finally, I'm going to add a little bit of the shadow here under his eyes, because that's what we got in the source image. And finally, we'll add the inner eye. Because there is a bit of a shine on it here, we'll dry it off. Add some white right here, which normally I would do after I add the black outline on him, but we're saving that for the final step. So this will be good enough to showcase it. Then finally, I'm going to take a little bit of a lighter color here. Let's see, I think this should be good. And he doesn't really have a lot of highlights, so we're just going to kind of do what we can in kind of the same vein of the original. And there we go with the shadows and highlights. Now, I didn't add anything to the face because, at least in the source image that we're doing, there's no highlights around the nose or the mouth. So keep a careful eye on what you're trying to replicate and replicate accordingly. Speaking of replicate, look how well I replicated that on the bottom part of our canvas. Okay, so his eyes are a little bit too far apart. I don't care. But for this last part, we're going to be detailing just how I go about doing my outlines. And I mean, really, it's about as basic as can be. I mean, you're going to want to get some black, plop it down, and then grab whatever your preferred thickness of brush is. I mean, as you can see here, we're going to get different line widths with each of these 3 straight brushes. Now, honestly, for a larger canvas, I'd probably opt for this one, the thickest one, but I'm going to go with the middle one here, just because we're not doing something on like a full canvas, it's just relative to the size. Now, you can do it however you want to do it, but I'm going to add some of the inner details first, and then we'll just outline the whole thing. Maybe we'll do the whole outline in a thicker color. I think that might be a good idea. You know what? I said I wasn't gonna, but yeah, no, we're just gonna start outlining some things now. And yeah, I'm already committed to using the this medium brush, so I guess we're gonna do the outlines in this. Now, it goes without saying, but obviously this requires a pretty steady hand. You might have more luck with the drawing tablet than I've had in my previous video where I used a drawing tablet. Personally, I'm using mouse and keyboard, but use what works best for you. As long as you're happy with the results, what does it matter, right? Now you'll notice a lot of spots like this where the blue isn't perfectly matching up to the red. You know what? That's perfectly fine because I plan on going over all those spots anyways with the black, which is why I'm not too terribly worried about those being precise while we're going. Does that make sense? It gives you a little bit of freedom to be imprecise. That's what I'm trying to say. Just precise little strokes until you're done. Last but not least, I'm going to go ahead and do these eyes. We can be done. And now we can call it a wrap on our anime line work tutorial. I think this worked out pretty good. I mean, it doesn't exactly look like Hinata Shoyo here at the bottom, but you know, it's pretty close. And I think that this video should give you a really good idea of the sense of progression here for how I've approached each one of these paintings. So as you can see at the top, I just like to start with the base colors, which really, I mean, it looks like clip art. Once you add a little bit of shading and a little bit of highlights to it here, it starts to bring it to life, but it really makes it pop once you add those black outlines. So I hope this worked out for you. Let me know down in the comments if this tutorial did help you at all, and if you have a suggestion for a future SuchArt tutorial as well. I'm going to call it right here. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. Leave a like on this video if you did enjoy it. Consider subscribing, and I will catch you next time. Kaz out. Peace.